Hi everyone, welcome to RiteChoice Academy. It's a goal on this channel to bring you high quality content for your productivity and growth as a software developer in your career. And also it's also available for people that actually want to learn how to code. Maybe you want to also gain one technical knowledge or the other. So we bring to you this time around another piece which enables you to learn Laravel from the very beginning. That is, you are starting from 0 point to building your first application in Laravel. So without too much word, so let's just jump into what we have to do. So we are going to start directly from the Laravel documentation here. So let's start from Laravel documentation here. So let's go to getting started. Installation. So the first thing is, what is Laravel? So if you're familiar with building web application, you will notice that some of the time, if you are building web application with PHP, it can be challenging if your application is growing bigger. So PHP is a modern, Laravel is a modern PHP framework that is designed to make sure that web development is faster and easier. And it follows MVC framework, that is model view controller pattern. So that's how it was designed, and it has a lot of inbuilt features. If you navigate through this documentation, I'm just trying to bring up something for you to summarize things. So it has a lot of inbuilt tools like for routings, authentication, database management, and many more inbuilt features. So, and if you're asking yourself, if I already know PHP and I can build application with it, or maybe I've been doing some things on the web, so why do I need to learn Laravel? So there's a there are a lot of the reasons why you should learn Laravel. Some of it is the ease of writing your code. You should enjoy what you are doing. So, and if you want to also enjoy building application with PHP, so Laravel give you that. Querying your database, then authentication and security of your application is also very important. So then for Laravel, there's a lot of the community is big. Let me just say it like that. There's virtually nothing you want to do in Laravel that you don't have a package or a library for it. So there's already a very big community already, and as well there's job opportunity everywhere. So let's proceed to actually see how we can set up for Laravel development. So first you need to install PHP on your PC, and you also need to have Composer. You need Node and NPM or Bourne. So, and on the Laravel documentation, there is a very easy, maybe one line of code to just get started on Mac, Windows, and Linux. So, but for me, I actually prefer something more than this. I've tried this out, and there's a lot of I have to change it again. So let me just say that. So if you're on Windows, I recommend you set up your PHP development environment with Laragon if you want to go for free solution. So then if you are on Linux, so you can set up with Valet Plus. So it's very easy to install. So then if you want to buy, if you can pay for a server setup, so you can go for so you can go for Laravel Arts. So this is it. You can go for Laravel Arts. So it's very comprehensive. I've used the what's it called? I've used it. So, and it's also a very good way to set up your environment. So you have database, you have everything inbuilt here for you. You can do a lot of things. So you can explore the page. So, and on Windows, you also have all of those things here for you as well. So let's go back to Laravel installation and see what we have to do after we've set up our environment. So the next thing you need to do is do Composer Global require Laravel installer. That is, you need to set up Laravel installer. So let's do that. It's not going to work for me because I've already done that. So it will only update what I already have on my system. I'm on Linux. So all right. So, and let's go back to the docs. So here, the next thing here is Laravel new. So, and once you do Laravel new, so it should be with the, what's it called? The name of the application you actually want to create. So let's say Laravel new. What do we call the app? Let's say posting. Let's say post blog. So let's just do it like that, post blog. So do I need starter kit? I won't go for starter kit now for this, for training sake, so that we can take everything from the very beginning. So there's no need for me to go for a starter kit now. So no starter kit, paste. So let's just take it like that. So I want to believe we are progressing. So the installation is going on now. So let's wait till the installation completes. So it's asking if I want my database connection. So I'm on my SQL. I like my SQL. So I'm not ready to run migration now. So let's see. All right, so the installation was successful. So this error is happening because it's trying to do npm install. So let me just clear it out. So, and let's go to PHP Storm to open our project. So I'll come to this place to open the project. Let me just refresh this so that I can be able to see posting. Okay, posting blog. So let's open here. So let me just close this. I don't need this. So let's close this. So so let's close this. So these are projects here opened in PHP Storm. So, and let me just do a brief overview overview on the folder, directory structure. So this app directory is just the home for everything that has to do with application. That is application logic, models, controller, provider, events, and every one of those things. So that's where you have it here in this what's it called, here in the application. So Bootstrap directory contains everything that needs to start your application, your caching, and every one of those things. So your config contains configuration files. Don't worry, we'll get there. So then we have database. So databases contains migration. So migration is just a way for you to create your database schema or modify it and all of that. You know, if you're working with a relational database, you need to define your schema. So migration gives you access to do that with ease. So we'll get to that. So we have factory also. So factory helps you to create some random factory, and Cedar helps you to create some random test data for your application. So now public is the publicly accessible folder for your application. So the index.php, that's actually where the application runs. Anything that's coming, this is the entry point, and that's also where the response is being passed back to the application. So the resource, that's where your CSS, your JavaScript, and your Vue files lives. Resources, so your storage, your routes, and everything like that. The vendor is where you have all your vendor, that is all external PHP libraries and packages you installed. So Now, let's see what we can do. The next thing we need to do now is let's run our development server. Let's start the Laravel development server so that we can be able to do something here. So let's start our development server. So for Laravel, if you want to start the development server, for instance, if you're working with React or you are working with Nest.js, so there's a way you start, maybe npm run dev and all of that. So for Laravel, it is PHP artisan serve. So once you do PHP artisan serve, oh, I think I made a mistake in the, so let's clear PHP artisan serve. So we have our development server running now on our localhost port 8000. So let's open that in our browser and see what we have on the browser. So now Laravel is asking me to do migration before I can be able to open this. So let me jump a little bit. I'll come back to explain that. So let's go to our env file. So I'm going to set up the user I want to use to connect to my database. So you may not need to do that, but I'll come back to explain it. So let's save and let's do migration. Let me just come back here. PHP artisan migrate. So yes, I want to create. So now I told you the other time that migration file is used to create a database schema. So to manipulate, you can do a lot of things, create, drop a table and all of that. So you do that with your migration. So I just created the migration now, run the migration. So our application is opening now. So this is our new Laravel application here before us. So now let's go to our route file. So for your route, that is the file that controls when you enter a particular part, or you say you want to go to a particular part on your, what's it called, in your browser, navigating to your application. So let's go to routes. So let's go to web. So this is the web request. So this home directory is returning the view here. So, and you don't necessarily need to return the view in your route. So you can just return a text. You can just say welcome to my first Laravel, whichever. So if we refresh now, you should have that. So you can say welcome to my first Laravel package. So instead of package here, let's say website. So save here. So now we can change it back to the view. So let's return the view. So it will take it back to view. So let's now see how this view looks like. So that is the welcome view. So you can see it's a bunch of HTML code and Tailwind CSS. If you've not used Tailwind CSS, don't mind. It's not something that is actually required for this course. So you can just pick it up. It's very easy to learn, very easy to learn and powerful to style your application. Compared to working with normal CSS, that is vanilla CSS. So now let's go back. Let's see how we can create our route, our own route. So let's say route. Then I want to go to get. It's a get request. So I'm going to about. So I'm going to about, and I need to return a function here. So I can just clear it out. So function, then so that's the action that will be performed when I hit this route. So I can just return a text, and say about us. So save. So go back to the browser and come back here and say about. So if I say about, you can see it's giving us a text of about us here. So, but in a very big application, you may not want to put all your route in your all your actions in your route file, meaning that you now need something to sit between your URL, that is the request that's coming, and the what's it called, and the route, and the action that should be called. So how do you do that? How do you achieve that? So what you do is you reach out for a controller. So you reach out for a controller. So let's save this. So let's go back to our terminal. Let's clear out all of this. So let me do this artisan. Let's just do PHP artisan. So I want to show you some of the command available in Laravel. So you can see a bunch of command here. You don't need to know it offhand. You can just reach out for it when you need it. You can see this is the command I use to migrate the other time, PHP artisan migrate. So it's going to run all your migrations. So you can do DB-seed, you can do all of that. So let's go to make. So when you talk about make group now, so is a command that helps you to be able to make something. So what we want to do here is to make a controller. So let's clear. So let's say PHP artisan make controller. So if you do make controller, you can just type the name of the controller, but you can also do it via this interactive approach. So I want to do posts controller here. Post controller. So it's just an empty controller. I don't need it to be. So let's start from that. So when you create a controller, so let's come back to our HTTP app, HTTP controllers. You can see post controller here. So this is where the post controller goes to. So let's come back to our web route, our route file, and let's define a route to list all posts from our database. So I'll say it's going to posts. Then I want to now link to a controller. So instead of defining the action straight away here, that is returning a function, so I can just put it in a controller function here. So what is it? Sorry, I didn't put the verb. So get. So we are receiving a get request here. So and we are going to a get function on post controller. The function doesn't exist now, so let's create it. So let's say posts. So let's just go to post controller. So let's public function index. So then we are returning. So we want to, let's just return a text of posts. So if I come back here and I say posts, I'm going to posts. So it should take me, oh, target controller doesn't exist. So we need to import that. So we need to import that. All right, let's just import it manually. My indexing is still running. So this should work now. All right, we are on posts now. So now another concept I also want to explain here in Laravel is you must have visited a website whereby you see a list of posts and you want to go to maybe a post with an ID of, let's say, 5. So if we try to assess that now, so it's going to tell us not found. And to be sincere, it's not found because we don't have any route in our route file matching to that. So now let's come back. this 5 will be variable. That is, it's not going to be constant. So the fact that it's not going to be constant. So let's come back. Let's define a route that can be able to access that. So let's just duplicate this. So, and I want to go to a path route posts. Then I want to accept a parameter here. That is, we are now dealing with route parameters, and the parameter we want to accept here is the post ID. So, and it's going to hit on show method on our post controller. So now let's come back to this and say public function show. Then here let's return show posts. So now you are not seeing anything now, because you will not see anything other than show post. Now you notice we received it here, that is the ID, but in our controller we also need to receive it in the method here. Let's say int and ID. So here I can now say I am receiving a post with ID of ID. So if I refresh now, you can say a post with ID of 5. So I can say post with ID of 10. So like that. Now that's that about how you can work with route parameters in your Laravel application. So now you will notice that we only return text from the controller. We only return text from the controller, and if you see something here that is on the index here, so it's returning a view. So how can you create a view in your Laravel application? How can you do that? So now it's very simple. So you just have to come to, let me collapse this. So you have to come to your resource, then you come to your views directory. So then you create a new file. So for instance, let's say we want to create a view for our post, that is to show our post. So what we'll do is let's create a directory for post first. That's the first thing we'll do here. So let's create a directory for posts. Let me close all of these. It's just distracting. So now let's create a directory. Let's say posts. Then inside that posts, so let's just have something like index, which is going to match to the index method on the post controller. So you don't need to name it index, but it's just a good practice in Laravel development to name things this way, and I'm going to follow that convention as I do things. So now let's do index.blade.php. So enter. So this is how you create a view in Laravel. So I can clear out this. So, and a view in Laravel is nothing special. It's just a blade file that you can just write a bunch of HTML into. So I can just say h1 here. So I can just say all posts. So you notice I didn't even follow the structure here. So, but don't worry, we'll restructure that. We'll put it in a normal format as we go through, but let's just do it like this. So let's come back to our post controller. Instead of returning posts here, so let's now say we want to return a view. And what is that view? The name of that view going to be? So we are going to posts then dot index. That is post directory dot index view. So let's save and let's come back to our post route now. So you can see now we have all posts. So now let's go to show. Let's go to show show posts. So we now need to create another PHP file. So let's say show.blade.php. So enter. Then let's clear out this. So And how do you do that? So let's say we want to show a post, let's say h1 again. So we want to show, let's say post title, posts, okay, let's say post ID. So let's just say post ID, and let's pretend we have an, okay, let's say post ID here. So let's go to show. So let's go to a post with an ID of 10. So now let's come back to our controller. Don't forget we already create a show post here. So now instead of returning just a text, so let's just go to once to return a view, and it's going to be post.show. So now let's complete this. Go back here. Now let's refresh so you can see post ID. Now you'll notice that we should be able to use this. That is, there should be a way for us to pass whatever we have in the controller to the view, to let the view be aware of that variable. So, but let's see something. Let's say, since we have it here now, we should be able to use it here. It's going to give an error, but let's just try it out. ID. So if you want to use a variable that is a PHP, anything that has to do with PHP in Blade, so what you do is you open double curly braces. So then you put whatever you want to put, be it a variable or whichever, so you put it there. So now let's save. Now let's refresh and see what we have. You can see undefined variable ID, and it is truly undefined. So for us to be able to make it mark it as defined, so let's come back here. So let's come back here, comma. So you pass a second parameters, and you say I want an ID to be passed to that view. So let's go back and refresh. So you can see now we now have post with an ID of 10. So I think you are following very well. So now, in your Laravel, in a typical application, you always want to interact with the database. So, and interacting with the database, that is, you want to write something to the DB, you want to retrieve it from the DB, display it to the user. So, in Laravel, the experience is seamless, very, very seamless. So, and you will notice the pattern of Laravel is model, view, controller. So we've been able to see how the view and the controller interact with each other now. So, but the model part, that's what we actually want to do now. So now, that is, we want to be able to store a post in the database and show that post to the user. So what do we do? So let's come to PHP artisan make. So now PHP artisan make it, you can see a lot of all of the make command here. So, but the one we're actually interested in here is a model. So PHP artisan make model. So what's going to be the name of our model? Let's say posts, because we want to store our post in the DB. So we need to create a post model. So, and for this post, I want a migration for it. So, and that's why I'm passing a flag up here. So you can see it creates a post for me, and it also creates a migration file for me, so that I can use that one to create my post table schema. So now let's go back to models. So you can see models. So we have two models here. We have the user model and we have the post model. So, and that's great. So we are progressing. So let's go back to our migration posts. So post migration. So in this migration, you will notice we have two method here. We have the up method and we have the down method. So the up method is for you to do something in the database, and the down method is for you to reverse whatever you've done. So let's come back to this place and just say table. So I want a title of a post. So this is just going to create a varchar column in my database with let's say 255 bit. So now then I also want the body of my the content of my post. So it's going to be a text column that is a long text, because it's not going to be as short as the title of the post. So I've done this. So let me run my migration now. PHP artisan migrate again. So the moment I migrated, you can see it creates the table. So now let me connect my database here so that you can see what is actually going on. MySQL. So we have post blog. So our valet. So and the database is post blog. So let me apply and okay. So let's open that DB here to see what we have. All right, anything coming here? So let's go back to our tables. So you can use any database management you want to use, but I just prefer, let me just use something inside PHP Storm here. So we have our post table here. And if you check the post table, you will notice we have the title and we have the content. So, but we also have the created art and the updated art, which is created by our timestamps here. So, and I think we are making a good progress here. So now, how can you now create a post? How can we create a post? So it's very, very simple. So let me do something to make things very, very simple for you. So let's go back to our index posts, our all post. So for us to be able to create a post, so I'm just going to have an HTML here. Let me have a div, and let's have a what's it called, a form here. And that form is just going to be able to create a post for us, that is, insert something into our database. So let's say form, then enter. So I'm going to have an input in this. So the input of type test, and the name is going to be title. So I should create a separate page for it, should we? All right, let's create a separate page. Don't let us put it here. So let's create another separate page. So let's come back to our route here, and let's create another part here. Let's say /posts, then create. So once we create, so we can go to create. So then save like that. So come back to our controller, and let's have public create. So the view is not as the view doesn't exist. So I've created it using PHP Storm. It's just a PHP Storm magic. So let me have something here. Let's say an A tag here. So I want to go back to posts. So let's say go back to posts, or view all posts, So now I think we are making progress. So if I come back to our browser now, and I go to create, so we should have a form here. What is it? All right. So create. All right, so I know what's going on here. So let's just come back here. Let's do it like this. So, and let's refresh. So yes, we are on create now. So let's go back to our create. So, and let's do something of this nature. So let's just do type test title. So enter post title. So then your text area, let's do a text area to bring up to be able to insert our content, let's say content, the name will be content. We don't need an ID. So we can also give a placeholder. So let's say post content. So post content. So let's refresh. So we have, let's give a break line here so that it will not just, so, all right. So let's make it 2. So let's just refresh. So your post title, then this button should be a submit button. So I'm just doing it very, very simple so that you can be able to follow. So create post. So now let's refresh. So we now have create post, post title, create post. Let's go back to all post. So on this all post, that is our index. So let's go back here. So let's just say 8 tags. So let's say posts, then create. Then I want to create new posts. So create new posts. So if you refresh, you should see create new post here. So now let's go back to our route file. Now we need to look for a way for us to be able to send whatever we have when we want to create a post back to our controller. So let's create a route for that, and it's going to be a post route because we are posting something to the back end. We are posting something to the database. So it's going to be post. So post, then let's just put it here. So let's say we want to store something. So we'll be using a store method. So store, then let's come back to our post controller, and here we're going to say we want to store something to the back end. Then let's come back to our form here. That is our form here. So if you have been able to master your your HTML very well, so you should know how to define an action. So we are posting to posts. Then the method of that form is going to be posts. So post method. So now let's do something here. So I'll come back to this form. So I'll hit on create. So we're having, what is it? All right. So we're having this because we've now refreshed since we changed the method back to post. So let's refresh again. Let me just clear out this. So refresh again. Now let's click on this create post. So you'll notice it's telling me page expired. And the reason why it's telling me page expired is because Laravel could not verify the CSRF token here. So for us to do that, we need to come back to our form and put a particular directive here at CSRF. So let's refresh our page again. Let's cancel and let's go back. Let's refresh. So if I click on create post again, you'll notice it takes me back to this index. And the reason why it takes me back to index is because when we truly hit this, so it's going to, after it has done whatever it is expected to do, it's going to take me back to redirect me back to the post page. That is page where we are displaying all posts. So let's do something here. Let's dump whatever is in our request, because we are sending a request to the to the back end now. So let's dump whatever is in our request, create, then create. So it's telling me that we have post and the post is none and content is null. That is, it doesn't contain anything. So, and on a good day, you will want to maybe prevent user from just sending in any random stuff into your database. So how do you do that in your Laravel application? So there's a way for you to do it. So I'm going to do it in a simple way now, and I'm also going to show you the better way of doing it. So what you do is you come here and you say, I want to validate all input in this request. So I want to make sure that my title, So you have the validate method and you pass in an array into it. So then this name title I have here must match the exact name I give to the input here. So it doesn't matter the input you are using. So just make sure it matches the input. So I want to say it is required. Then it must be a minimum of 3 characters. A minimum of 3 characters. Then it must be a string. So it must be a string. So this way, I don't actually like defining my validations like this. So I love doing it this way, putting it in an array. Then what else did we do? Then maximum. Then it must also be a string. So it must be a string. So it's going to run all of this for us. Then same as this content here. So you can say minimum of 3. Then what is going to be the maximum? We can say maximum of 1000 character for our post. So now let's try to submit a post again now. Let's refresh. So you notice it sends us back, but we are not seeing any error. So now how can we be able to show our validation error when a validation fails? So there's a way for us to do that in Laravel. So you come to errors. So if there's any error, so we can do @error like this. So if we have an error that has to do with title, so let's just put it here underneath of title. So let's say BR. Then let's put it here. Then if we have error for content, so let's say BR. Then we also want to put the error for this content, what's it called, page. So now let's create. You can see now we have the title field is required, the content field is required. So now let me do something here. I'll type in 1 character here. I'll type in 1 character here, then create. So you notice it tells me that the title field must be at least 3 characters. The content field must be at least 3 characters. But there's a performance issue here. There's a bad user experience here because what I typed previously disappeared from the form. So how do we solve that problem? So you come back to your input here. So you can say values, then say old. That is, you are tapping into the old value that is in that you feel when you that is the previous value. Let's just take it like that. Let's say title. That is, I want the value to be whatever I filled in this field previously. So I can just come here also and say, okay, let's come here and say value old content. So let's refresh. We're not going to see anything now. So, but let's do the same thing we did the other time. So let's say E. So you notice that even though we have this error, yet everything we typed did not disappear as we have it previously. So, all right. So let's refresh and let's say R. So create. So you notice everything is in order now. So let me just type, okay, let me use fake filler. So create. So it should pass now. Then it's telling us we have this on our title, we have this. So now let's now do actual creation. How do you now make sure that this thing is properly inserted into your database? So there's a way we do that. So let's come back to our model, the model we created previously. So let's say model, which is our posts. That is our post model. So let's hit create. So we want to create. Then once you open the parentheses, you open an array. Then you now say, I want the title field, that is this title column on the model. I'm sorry, where is it? This table and the content. So if you come back to your post now, you have title, so and the content. So it's going to match it to the table. Then I want it to be whatever I have in this title. I also want this to be whatever I have in the content here. So now let's see something. Let's see if everything will work. So create. So, oh, so you can see now it's telling us add title to fillable properties to allow mass assignment. So now the reason why it is giving us that error is that Laravel is security conscious. So this approach is called mass assignment, and security wise is not a good, but let's try to go back to our model and allow that. So we can say protected, fillable. So we only want our content, title and content to be fillable. So, and we should be good to go with that. So now let's come back to what was it called, our post now. So let's retry. So you can see now that it takes us, is redirected back to this index page, but it's like nothing happened. So let's go back to the index now to now fetch every post we have in the database. So we can say posts equal to post model, then we want to get all, let's say latest. Okay, let's just get all. So it's not good that we do that, but for this training purposes, so let's just get all of the posts. So now all, so if you refresh, nothing changes. So but let's go back to our post view. So let's just have div. So, and inside this div, so how do you map through an array? So if you've worked with PHP, or if you are very new, so it's just nothing much than doing for each as you always do in your normal PHP work. So then for Laravel Blade, there's a directive for that. So that's for each post as post. So for each posts, then each item in that post, we have it as posts here. So let's go back to our page and refresh. So you can see now we have posts. So let's display the ID of that post. So let me come here. Let me just say, what is that? So let's just say posts, then ID. So let's just do a dot here. So, all right, let me add a space. See, all right. So post one. So let's create another one. So fake filler to our rescue, create. All right. Then create again. Let's create another one. Fake filler to our rescue. All right, we've been able to create 3 posts now. So we can view the post. So you can see the ID of 3. So let's go back. So you can see I added, what I did here is just post. A route, a post route, then the ID of the post. So now we are progressing very, very well. So let's see how we can be able to display the details of a particular post. So now let's come back to this show method. So there's something called let's come back here. Don't forget we are passing the ID of that post here. So this is one way. I'm going to show you another way which is better for you to do it. It's called route model binding. So but let me just do it this way. So let's say posts equal to posts. So we want to find by ID. That is, we want to find that post ID. So now let's come back here. Instead of saying ID, now let's say posts. Then let's say posts. So posts. Now let's go back to our show. Then let's just say we want to display the posts. Let's say H1. Then let's say we want to display the posts. Posts. Then we want to display the post title. So then let's have the post content. So then over here, let's look for a way to go back to all posts. let's look for a way to go back to all posts. I think I have something here that I can just copy. All right, where is it? Show. So now let's go back, let's refresh, so we can see we have post, post title. I think we are seeing only post title. Oh, sorry, we didn't. We are trying to access a property that is not, that doesn't exist. So let's make it P, a paragraph. So let's refresh. So you can see now that we are progressing. So now let's go back to all posts. So let's view the first post, that is one. So let's view another one. Let's view another one. So now that's just it. So how can you be able to delete a particular post from your what's it called, from your database? So there's a way for you to do that. So you come to your route. Let's define the route first. Everything will will always come from the route. So let's just duplicate this. So we are saying delete, then all right, so we are still having posts. So then we want to receive the ID. So the other time I spoke about route model binding. So it means that I can say I want posts here, posts here, or I can just say posts. I want posts here. So now once I say I want post here, so I can now come back to, let's say, delete. So I'm going to change this. So we can just say, okay, let's do it on our show post first. So let's just say posts. So post, which is the name of the model. So let's come back to this show. So, and in this place, instead of accepting the ID, so what we just accept is a post model itself, then posts. So meaning that meaning that we've abstracted this, that is, we've reduced the lines of code we need to write. So, and everything should still work. So if I come here, everything should still work as expected. So now I want to believe you are just following up with what we are doing here. So now the next thing we have to do is the delete. That is how you can be able to delete a post. So public, then delete a post. So what you just do, since we are using route model binding, so we can just go this way. So let's go back to our index. So, and we want to delete a post here. So let's just use, so the way we are going to delete a post is that we're going to use form. So because we cannot just put post deletion in a what's it called, in a URL like that, so that it will, so that we need to do it in a secure way, in a more secure way. So we are going this, then want to use method of delete. So delete post. So now let's refresh. So we can see delete post now. So if I go this way, you can see that post is deleted. If I go like this, the post is deleted. So let's create some more posts so that we can be able to, so create. All right. So there's something we've not done, and that's how you can be able to update a particular post. How can you be able to update a particular post? So now let's do that. So let's come back to our route here. Let's come back to our route. Then I'm just going to state, so I'm going to have a part here. Let me just say edit. So that is post, edit, then it's just going to edit function here. So if I go back to show here, so let me just come back. Let's just duplicate this function for us to be able to just reuse it quickly. So let's say edit, So, and I'm going to edit view. So that view is not existing. So let's create it. So let me just copy everything we have in create and just paste it in our edit. So now let's say save changes, So save changes. Then instead of accepting old here, so let's come back here first. All right, post. So let's come back to our route. I think we've done that. Edit. All right, so let's go back to where we are actually listing, where we having the error. What is this? All right, I don't know why. So let's change it to input. It's just my PHP storm that is giving that noise. So well, let's change that so that it can allow us to breathe. So now let's go back to edit. All right, so we need to now come back to where we are what's it called, doing this post. So we need to go to edit post, that is post / then edit, just like we did in the what's it called, in the route. So if we come back here now, let's refresh. So you now see edit post. So go to edit. So if you edit now, you notice that though we receive the post, but we are not seeing anything that has to do with post here, with the post here. So if you go back to the edit view here, if you go back to the edit view, so instead of doing this old, that is, you notice in the previous when we are doing create, we accepted old here. So instead of accepting old, we are going to accept post now, and we are going to say title, that is, the title of the post will be here. So then where we accepted old for content here, so we also put post, then content. So if you refresh now, you should see everything intact here. So now, how are we now going to be able to save whatever changes we did to this post? So we need to now define the route to send that changes back to the to our database. So let's just come here. Okay, let me just let me use this. So we need to patch or put. So let's say patch, since we are just updating stuff. So let's clear this out. So we can come back to, let's say, update. So then on our controller, we need to define that method. That is the method we're actually calling. So let's define it, that is update. So don't forget we are using route model binding update. So update. Then what we want to do is that we want to update the post. So we want to update the post. We first need to what's happening here? So it's giving me a shortcut. I don't want that. So, and that's you can see now the part of the good use of knowing what you actually want to do instead of relying solely on AI. So now let's do requests, and we want to validate. All right, so we want to also do the validation as we did previously. So, and after doing those validation, if the validation passes, so we want to update. So we want to say this post, we want to update. So, and after doing updating, we want to return redirect back to the maybe the post view page, or okay, let's go back to the post view page so that we can be able to see the changes instantly. But we can redirect to anywhere we actually want to redirect it to here from here. So now let's do let's come back to our edit page. The job is not complete yet, so we need to also come back here and say we want to accept a parameter here. and that's going to be the post ID. So post ID. So now what else? So we need to also specify the method here. We're using patch. So okay, let's post. So we are using posts. So you can just do at method here. At method. So we're using patch. So patch. So now I think we should be good to go. So let's save changes and see what we have. Let's refresh. What is that? So let's edit the first one. Let's just put updated. Sorry. So what is it telling us here? Change to get. No. So updated, let's save the changes. All right, so everything is working fine. Now. So we can go to view all posts. So let's edit the first post again. So let's say updated content. So updated content. So save the changes. So you can now see we have updated content here. So I think we are good to go now, because we are able to do our first CRUD in Laravel. So I'll be doing a follow-up video on this, where I'm going to discuss on how you can use a named route, how you can simplify a lot of things here. There's still a lot of optimization that can be done here. So don't worry, and I trust me, what you've just seen now is a very solid foundation for you to get started with building your application with Laravel. So if you don't want to miss any of those follow-up video I will do on this particular video, so don't forget to subscribe on the channel, and as well, don't forget to like this video. If you have any question, pass in the comment. We'll be very glad to respond to whatever you want to say. Thank you so much. Meet you in another release.